Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Gal is here.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. And Spence is here.
It is a pleasure to be.
It is.
Ooh, I like that.
Katie is moving to the new house she bought, so she's not here. Our number is 919-518.
That's unacceptable.
I told her. But,
Okay.
Yeah, that's a very lame excuse. Come on.
Yeah, I agree.
Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So, we made it through Ian.
Yeah, South Florida didn't, though. Holy moly.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about us up here.
Yeah, I talked to some friends that live in Fort Myers Beach.
Mm-hmm.
In Fort Myers, not Fort Myers Beach, and they said it was
They weren't there.
No, they were there.
Wow.
And they said it was quite the experience. They somehow got power back relatively quick, which is good.
Yeah, but that's
over 4,000 crews have come in from other states.
40,000 crews.
40,000. I heard
They
the
have
number.
40,000 linemen down there. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
but interesting again to note that one of the big problems is cell phone connectivity because there's a couple of different things, and this happened during Florence for folks that are familiar with that here. With Florence, there was a lot of you had cell phone service from your provider. In the case, like you'd have full bars, but you had no connection because the cell sites have generators and they're running, they're on, but the cell tower doesn't have connectivity, either the RF backhaul that they use to provide service to it so it can broadcast it out, or the fiber or whatever connection they have that connects it to the network is down. And so you've got cell service, but you can't do anything because you're connected to a dead tower, which is a problem because you can't switch, at least on, I don't believe you can switch which tower you're connected to.
No.
So you have to wait for the generator or battery to die and hope that you can get connected to a tower further away that has worse service, but might hopefully have actual connectivity to the network. So
there's no you can't call other people that are connected to the same tower. There's no switch involved. So
yeah. So you have to essentially wait for you have to either drive to an area in which you get to a different tower or wait for the generator and or battery backup to die on the tower that's providing you service. That's a big problem. There's not really a solution for it either. It's just
this is the same as if your modem is suddenly stops communicating with your provider, your router still has Wi-Fi.
Okay, yeah, true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But there is a solution. It's for them to make sure that it's not online, not broadcasting, unless it has network connection.
Yeah, and that's it. The fail safe. The fail safe is is the part that needs to be worked on.
I wonder whether
But
how much of this, you said RF backhaul, but
Well,
then
yeah, a lot of it is
what
RF
about
backhaul.
how much of this is done with it's fiber, but typically I'm just thinking overhead versus buried. How here where I live in my neighborhood is all buried, but you leave the neighborhood, it's all overhead. So
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter.
Well, it depends on the location. I mean, if you've got some of these cell sites that are built like next to population centers, like you've got them next to strip malls and, you know, housing developments, then that's all buried fiber. But you get out to areas where, you know, cell sites are kind of on pieces of land
Yeah, it's
on the side of
microwave.
the, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of it is still microwave.
Yeah.
It's IP based microwave. It's not physical. It's not analog.
Yeah, it's packet.
It's not
based.
analog, but it's RF. So you lose the chain, you lose the hop that is before that. Maybe the hop before that has cell service, but the generator died. So now it's not able to broadcast to the next site, and now you've got a real problem. That was a big issue during Florence. I remember I had to go to a specific area of this building I was in to get connected to a different tower to just make phone calls. I couldn't, there was no texting, no data. It was just voice.
Hmm.
It was
We
the
see
same thing with my
something
friends in
wiggling.
Fort Myers. I couldn't text them. They couldn't get any data, but they could make a phone call. It was very weird.
We see this thing wiggling to the right side of your screen there, Nick. Like this thing that's waving in the air. Looks like a cat tail.
That would be my cat's tail.
Yes.
Yes. It was actively looking out the window. She's
so
checking it out.
talking about hurricanes.
You giving us a hockey score?
No. An Amazon driver blasted customers in a tirade about having to make deliveries to 172 people during Hurricane Ian, yelling, "I hate all of y'all right now." The employee shared his rant on TikTok under the username @abnormalpoet. I
Shouldn't he
hate
be
all of y'all
angry at
right
Amazon
now.
instead of the
Yeah.
shoppers?
I mean,
Knew this hurricane. You all knew this hurricane was coming, and you still ordered shit. I gotta go to 172 of y'all today. I hate y'all. Everything is wet. The driver.
Maybe they
shouted.
ordered rain suits and umbrellas.
I mean,
where was this?
I'm not sure.
It wasn't in Florida. It had to have been Georgia, South Carolina, or North
I
Carolina.
don't know, but you can actually go to TikTok. I mean, I saw it. He was sitting in his car recording this.
Yeah.
Then
Well, that's a good way to get fired.
I'm sure. I hope so.
Here's the thing. In North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, unless you were on the coast, it was just like a really bad rainstorm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you Amazon was not delivering packages in South Florida. I can almost guarantee you that.
Look, if they're closing up,
bridges are closed.
A Waffle House.
Yeah.
If they're
That's
closing
right.
up a Waffle House, there's no Amazon delivery.
They hit they had their most severe closing rating. So
Yeah.
they said stay open until like the absolute, the walls have to be collapsing for them to close.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. There was one Waffle House here left open during Florence, and it was the only place in town to get a warm meal, and it was glorious. They had their generator out back. It was phenomenal.
So
why is he bitching at the customers though? It's not their fault that Amazon's
I mean,
allowing them to order stuff. But let me ask you this: what if you I have a couple of things that are on subscription?
Yeah.
Like I get coffee,
Right.
and I get a couple of other things.
I mean,
those just show up whenever. That's Amazon that puts it in the queue. I don't order that. It just comes
on the TikTok page. Somebody made a comment. He says, "That's not on the customer. This is on Amazon."
And you see all the time, you see disclaimers about weather-related delays.
Yeah.
They'll put it right on the webpage to say, we're experiencing delays due to this interfere in this area.
Forget the webpage. If you have a voice assistance from them, right?
Yeah.
It will alert you that there's a national weather alert, and it might affect delivery.
Sure.
So, yeah.
I was amazed to hear when they were doing a rundown of the conditions in Florida that there's a law in Florida that gas stations with more than a certain number of pumps have to have a backup generator, because they were saying that people are going to have trouble getting fuel, even though the fuel's in the tank, can't get it out. And then I think it was DeSantis during one of the press conferences says if your gas station has more than 4 pumps or something like that, it has to by law have a backup generator. And I'd never heard that before. That's amazing.
What if the generator runs out of fuel and they can't pump out?
We forgot to fill the tank on the generator, so now we can't
You
pump
see,
gas.
the way what they bury the tanks, right?
Yeah.
What they should do is they should build a berm behind the station, put the tanks so they are sort of like 2, 3, 6 feet above ground, and then cover them with more dirt. Now you don't even need the electricity; it's just by gravity it's coming
That's
down.
it.
Yeah.
Be a slow pump, but that's okay.
I don't know.
But then you need a metal rod with a sign saying these are tanks. Do not do not do anything, and then the lightning will go directly there.
Oh boy! I
That's
made
the
sure
way
I had.
regulation works. No,
I went out to check. Sorry.
I said that's the way regulation works, right?
Yeah,
Somebody
well,
comes up
yeah.
with a bright idea, then somebody else comes with even a brighter idea that makes the previous one just defunct.
My daughter Hannah lost power, and it was out for almost 25. It was maybe 20 hours, something like that, in Raleigh. And I thought she's got a generator, so she did it. And she said, if I run out, because in the beginning, if I run out, I'll just go and get some more gas. Okay. Then I thought, and I said, it'll be nice. We should get her a couple more 5-gallon jerry cans, so she could put it. So I went looking, and it's amazing. All these new gas cans have safety spouts.
Yes.
And all the complaints about them, I mean, people were saying, this is ridiculous. You can't pour gas. You lose more gas with that thing. And not having one, I don't know what it's like, but I found an outfit that sold 4 of them for $90-some, which is cheap.
Metal ones.
Huh?
Metal.
No, not
They
metal.
weren't-
No.
Oh, you said jerry can. Oh,
Well, yeah, this is the same. But I also got replacement spouts that are just normal, because everything was all the bad reviews were about the spouts. And I'm thinking, I mean, they say you can't even fill them like you want to, because it's got a filter in the neck, and when you put the nozzle in the can, you can't fill it up. You have to go slow.
yeah. So you can't, the rate of flow, plus there's no air relief
Yeah, and it
because
comes
there's not
out.
enough room for the
and
air to get out of the can.
This
out of the
guy
can.
showed a video of gas on the ground in the gas station. He said, "This is ridiculous. Who would thought about these things?" So yeah,
You're talking about the quick release gas cans with the little trigger.
I don't know if that's what
No,
it
it's
is.
a safety
They-
device.
They're
It's an
talking
anti-
about safety,
yeah.
something that if the can tips over, it shuts off by itself. They call it
Oh.
safety.
Yeah. Well, I have the new can, the new cans where you have to push on the nozzle. There's a little clip you have to push up, and then you have to push the nozzle forward to allow the gas to come out. And they're a huge pain in the ass, as you can expect when they're full of 5 gallons of gas. So I'll go take a picture of it. You can put some zip ties around it to zip tie the lever up, and then zip tie it forward, and they work great.
Get fined. That's $50 an incident if you do that.
Yeah, well, well, you know what? When the IRS agents come and arrest me, I'll
right, yeah.
let them know they can come get the EPA can come too and throw.
Did
me-
you
throw me in
see,
jail.
speaking about those IRS agents, did you see the job description
Yeah,
Yeah,
that gun.
able, be willing to carry a gun, be willing to have physical confrontations with people.
Yeah.
What?
Well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're here to look
People
at
are
your
very,
books.
very personal about their taxes, man.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's like now if this was like a some sort of like 90s crime movie with like Joe Pesci and everything, I could understand the IRS trying to come in and take him out, but it's not the case.
Granny knits doilies for people, and she is behind on her taxes. So let's go throw her on the floor and tear our office apart.
Yeah. Well, thank God. God bless the USA.
Our friend Jacob from the chat sent me something at the beginning of the week. And I thought, even though it's all over the internet, because I went and looked, it's still interesting. It's once upon a time. It says, when window was a square hole in a room, an application was something written on a piece of paper. When keyboard was a piano and mouse was just an animal. When file was an important office material and hard drive was just an uncomfortable road trip. When cut was done with knife and paste with glue. When web was spider's home and virus was flu. And when Apple and BlackBerry were just fruits. That's when we had a lot of time for family and friends. I thought this puts it all in a nutshell, kind of.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, you do. When you look at every time you look today in any kind of a movie, or even when you go to visit and there are kids, everybody's on their phone.
Amnon, I came to your house 5 weeks ago and we sat on the couch and watched television.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about?
But you can
that's
talk.
That's not Bill Gates' fault.
No, it's not. But this has nothing to do with nobody mentioned TV in this thing.
Selective editing. All right. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I mean,
just wait. We get the next big solar flare. We're all going to be back to the old ways.
No,
go to sleep when the sun goes down. You wake up when the sun comes up. You read a book. You pump the well with our hand.
There's read a what?
Solar flare.
Yeah, but what am I reading? Reading
yeah, that's
what?
that. I have several of them on the shelves in my house that I walk past every day.
People normally use them now to raise their laptops when they're on
I was going to
Zoom.
say, I use it for my monitor stand.
You got that wobbly chair. That's what the book is for. Right?
But is that book updated? Is that the Windows XP book or is that the Windows NT book?
It's the HTML 1.0 for dummies.
I've got them both. I've got them both up here. The Windows NT.
I'm sure you do. That's
and
the
Windows XP book.
For dummies.
What is it called? What is it called?
What?
The book.
It says Windows XP. Using Microsoft Windows XP. And the other one is using Windows NT Server.
Using Windows NT. Let's see if they're worth anything on eBay.
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know, man. You can buy a copy of NT Server for $19 on floppy. It ends today. Oh my God, 5 hours. I better put this in specials. All right. Hold on, make a change.
All right. More serious stuff. Exchange. Remember, I had a bunch of problems after.
Is this Prem Exchange or Microsoft Cloud Exchange?
Microsoft has confirmed 2 unpatched Exchange Server 0-day vulnerabilities.
Probably on-prem.
Are being exploited by cyber criminals. I never used it, so I don't know. In real world attacks.
The difference is on-prem means on-premises, the ones that you run.
Yeah.
As versus the ones that Microsoft runs.
Yeah,
so,
but I don't know what this is, though. I don't know if it's. I'm sure it's
that's
for
on-prem.
Yeah, because otherwise they wouldn't say that they would patch it.
Exactly.
Vietnamese cybersecurity company GTSC, which first discovered the flaw, part of its response to the customer cybersecurity incident in August 2022, said that 0 days have been used in attacks on their customers' environments during back to early August 2022. Microsoft Security Response Center said in a blog post late on Thursday that the two vulnerabilities were identified as, and the numbers, a server-side request forgery vulnerability, while the second allows remote code execution on a vulnerable server when PowerShell is accessible to the attacker.
Ruh-roh.
Now, I said this
Well-
time, Microsoft is aware of limited targeted attacks using the two vulnerabilities to get into user system. The technology giant confirmed. Microsoft noted that the attacker would need authenticated access to the vulnerable Exchange server, such as stolen credentials, to successfully exploit either of the two vulnerabilities which impact, on-premise Microsoft Exchange server. 2013, 2016, and 2019. Microsoft hasn't shared any further detail about the attacks and declined to answer our questions of the author. Security firm Trend Micro gave the two vulnerabilities severity rating of 8.8 at 6.3 out of 10.
That's not good.
Since then, Microsoft admitted that those attacks are really out in force. So hopefully,
By the way, the reason they are so high is it says there that you still, I mean, whoever is hacking the system already needs to be inside the network, right?
Yeah.
Already needs to be authenticated inside. And that usually lowers the level of a threat substantially.
Mhm.
But with an exchange, it is never the amount of people who have administrative access to exchange inside an organization is very, very, very small, right? And
Should be
so
very, very, very small.
no, it's like even by default, it's small because you need
Okay.
to mean to put somebody in the exchange administrator group. It cannot.
True.
It doesn't happen automatically. So and because privacy within an organization is controlled by exchange, basically, right? I mean, it's not just about you not reading the boss's email, it's also anybody else reading your email. So yeah, that is a big one.
So I would have
And
thought
they say they have evidence of use of that since August 2021. That's a
Yeah.
long time to go
no,
unnoticed.
2022. August 2022, not 2021. This was
Okay,
just
so
it was just they just found out about it.
well, that's when they found it, but they said they saw evidence, and I thought you said 2021. Okay,
No,
it's my mistake. Okay.
back to early August 2022. Yeah. So wait a second. So what you just said actually will lower the severity.
It's supposed to lower, but the thing is, even within an organization, you don't want anybody. Let's say an employee wants to hack, right?
Yeah.
It means that they don't even need to be an admin in order to execute
I see
the
what you.
hack,
Oh,
right?
okay.
That's the
Okay.
thing.
Hmm.
Just need access. Access to the machine might exist. So that's a risky factor. That's a very risky factor.
Yeah. Well, it's bad.
Yeah, this one is bad.
Yep. All right. we're talking about inflation and about the bad employment and all that. Meta Platforms, the owner of Facebook and Instagram, said it will freeze hiring and restructure some teams in an effort to cut costs and shift priorities. The article was, yeah, we're going to cut your. They sent messages to teams and they said we're going to cut your budget and you're going to have to decide who gets what.
Yeah.
I mean, Facebook is worried about. I mean, maybe Zuckerberg should take his
Their
account.
stock has tanked.
Hold on.
You know,
Here's the thing. So I don't even know if that's reality. What do I mean? They must come out with some sort of news that this is happening, because this is the only thing that affects their market share, their stock market value, right? It's not, anything they do does not affect their productivity, their income, their revenue. But a news story like this, right, will affect one thing: the stock market value.
Yeah, that's it. It's a leading indicator and not a trailing indicator.
Right. So it's not about how they're doing in the market. It's about how they're perceived to be doing, which is what the stock market is about, right? It's about perception. It's never about, everybody tries to spin it every time that it's about performance and endurance and all that. But effectively, right, it's all about perception. And when a news article like that comes out, it says, boo-hoo. So this is for the analysts to read and make some news around it. That's it. Yeah. When they start firing, that's when they start firing. And I hope they won't get to that. I mean, I understand hiring freeze. That would be a smart thing for any business, unfortunately, right? And it's terrible that we get there. But yeah, it's not only them. It's almost every company that I know, right?
What is the latest on their subscriber loss? Are they just not gaining, or are they actually losing subscribers? Meaning, and how do you measure that? Because if I left Facebook, I don't use it much. I don't know that I delete my account. So how would they know?
That's a good question. I don't think they know. I don't think it's part of their public exposure either.
Yeah,
so it's not something.
It's not a subscription you're paying for. So
there's probably some companies that try to measure it in some way, but I don't know how.
Well, let's see what else.
I've got one.
Okay.
So Alphabet, which is Google, right? That's the subsidiary.
Yeah.
They operate a company called Wing, W-I-N-G. And it is a drone delivery service that they operate. And they're predominantly in Australia right now and Finland, but they are working with the FAA here in the United States. Well, one of their drones was flying through Brisbane, Australia, and got caught on a power line trying to deliver food and knocked out power to over 2,000 people as it was trying to deliver food. It hit the power line, burst into flames, and caused a huge power outage. According to the spokesperson for Energex, which is the power company, they say that the drone landed on top of an 11,000 volt power line, and the drone itself obviously had voltage. It burst into flames and caused a power outage for over 2,000 people. So there you go. They call it the Internet of Shit, is one of the memes online. And here it is. You've got your food delivery drone that knocks out power to your entire neighborhood. And now, by the way, your food is on fire and sitting at the bottom of a road.
Well, come on. You paid for raw food. You get cooked food. It's great, no?
Yeah. That's the way they warm it just before they deliver it.
Yeah. Now, it is interesting to note that this I guess Australia's air regulations are a lot easier than the United States because they've done, according to this, they've done 200,000 deliveries in Brisbane. So that's a lot of drone food deliveries. And this appears to be the first one that's caused big issues. I didn't even realize Google had this subsidiary. These drones are wild, by the way. They have 12 propellers on them. They look like an airplane.
It does. I'm looking at a picture of the large one now.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yes,
they got a whole bunch of. They
yeah.
have props on them too, so they have drone propellers to fly like a helicopter, and then plane
so they
prop
can
propellers too.
they can transition from horizontal to vertical flight.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder how noisy they are. One of the biggest issues with drones is they're very, very noisy, right? So,
and it's a terrible. The servos make a terrible whine. I mean, it's ear piercing. So, we
interesting.
Well, they put a video out 7 months ago from them, though. So who knows?
Well, speaking of Alphabet, they ditched Stadia, right?
Yeah.
Is interesting. Is anybody doing money from game streaming?
Say it again.
Is anybody making profit from game streaming?
Microsoft is.
Interesting.
So Stadia was a plan that Microsoft or Google brought forward a couple of years ago. Actually, 2019, I believe. It was PAX. Actually, Labor Day weekend 2019 is when it kind of launched because we were out at PAX West during it, and the Infection crew was. And the idea was, instead of having an Xbox or a PlayStation or a computer, you use this service called Stadia, in which Google runs the game in their cloud infrastructure and streams it to your phone, your tablet, your Google Chromecast devices, acts as your console, and you pay a monthly subscription service, and then you buy the game. So you pay a subscription service and also buy buy some of the games.
So you can buy a game without a subscription.
Correct.
Yeah.
You can. So there's two different tiers.
If you pay for the subscription, you get games for free.
You get some games for free and other games at discounts. There is a free tier
without a subscription.
You can play without a subscription. There just wasn't a user base for this. Nobody was asking for this service, and nobody was using the service. And after less than, or at this point, just about 2 years, actually 3 years, the service is shutting down. They said that they're refunding everybody anything that they purchased. I don't know how that's going to work, but yet again, another Google product that spawned up, tried to change the way of video game streaming, but was just unable to do it. And they've decided to cut their losses and shut the service down, which is unfortunately very common for Google. And the reason a lot of people didn't adopt it early on was because of that fear. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. People don't trust Google to keep a service running long term, so they don't invest in it. And then Google needs people to invest in it, but they won't because Google will shut it down. It's a terrible cycle that they've created, but it's all self-inflicted, unfortunately.
Come on. I can't blame Google for that. They are probably the only company that actually sits down and says, this is losing me money. I shouldn't work on it anymore. Let's close it. And that makes total sense.
Well, it makes sense from a business standpoint, but if you're an end user and some of the video games we're talking about are $60. So you've invested in this, and you buy a couple of games, you've invested hundreds of dollars into a platform, and then one day you wake up and it's shut down, which is exactly what's going to happen. People are very hesitant of using Google services because of their track record.
Right. And I guess that's why they are, at least at this point, claiming, right, because we need to see this in action, that they'll refund everything.
Yeah.
So people will trust them for the next service they're going to look into it. By the way, if that's the case, this is going to be one hell of a savings account, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you buy some games, you use them for a while, and then Google closes the service and they refund you.
Yeah, if you want to see an interesting infographic, go to killedbygoogle.com and you can see all 274 services that or hardware that Google has killed over the years that they've been in operation.
Right, and to be fair, Nick, right, this is probably one of the only. It's still a free service because if you just buy the license for the game, right, and you never bought a subscription, it's still a free service.
But hold on. But your license is, you don't buy the license. You're renting the license from Google. You don't in perpetuity have a license.
They're going to be measured by how well they do this refund thing, right?
Yeah.
Because eventually, if all I did was just subscribe and play the free games per the subscription, then yeah, I don't get any value back. But if all I did was buy a game from them, right, which is, by the way, the case I'm in, when Cyberpunk came out, I bought the game from Google.
Okay, interesting.
For Stadia, right? So if I'm going to get a refund on that game,
you are.
Then they did no wrong by me because I never paid them a penny more than that. Not even for the hardware, because the hardware was bundled.
And they're going to refund hardware also. Not just the software, not just the games.
In a way, it's fair to the consumer here a lot more than it's fair for them, right? I would, in a way, rather than them refunding the hardware, I would rather they open up the hardware, right? And allow and allow home brewers to do whatever they want with it. But I know that won't happen. So, yeah, I mean, looks like they're doing the fair step.
Oh,
but
for sure.
Up until now, everything they closed, right, was free services.
Yeah.
First time I think they're shutting down, other than Glass, they're shutting something that people paid for.
No, they've shut plenty of things down.
Are you saying that I should have, instead of recycling my Google Cardboard viewer, I should have turned it in for a refund?
No, that's not getting refunded though. It's just
no, and I agree with you, Gal. I think they're gonna handle this refund process well, and that's not my criticism of it at all. I do have some criticism. Well, I don't really know if it's criticism. It's just the buyer's remorse isn't the word to use. It's just the buyer's hesitation with Google, and they've got to do something to rebuild that image, because folks are, I mean, you talk to people in the gaming sphere and they were terrified of getting involved with this service because of the risk of it shutting down. And I know that's no, looking at it hindsight,
I understand.
You get your money back anyway. It wouldn't have mattered, but Google's not entitled to give you your money back. There's no requirement for them to do that. It's great that they are, and they should be commended for it. But it still doesn't change the hesitation that people have with Google services. And I agree. You try everything, you're going to have plenty of failures. There's no issue with that. It's just the brand. They've got a serious problem in terms of their new brands and new things that they try bringing out. People are very hesitant. I mean, look at Google TV, for Christ's sake. Google Fiber. Google TV was supposed to be the Google Fiber TV was supposed to be was going to revolutionize how they did cable television. They shut that down, and now they're selling DirecTV or AT&T Uverse with it. The Google Fiber has been so lackluster on its rollout. It's just people have a lot of hesitation with Google.
I just, with them installing it now in Apex, I went and read the history behind the story about how they've had, for 4 years, they put all their fiber installations on hold. And now they're back to doing it again. But you look at the footprint, it really isn't that big.
No.
They weren't in a lot of places, but you get the impression, Google Fiber, they're going to do the world, kind of a thing. And
look at, it's a very different technology. But look at what Starlink has done in about a 2-year period of time. Now it is completely different technology. I get it, but they have literally sent hundreds of satellites up to space, built a transceiver that tracks these satellites in space to give you low latency internet service, and Google can't even trench cable. I mean, it's just they're so Google is so big, or Alphabet is so big, and they try to put their tentacles in every little facet. They do none of it well, and that's the big problem. Is outside of a few things like Google search and Gmail and things like that, it seems like all of their other projects are just half-assed from go. And that's a serious problem.
Unfortunately, it follows a large company kind of fog that happens to all companies when they get to a certain size. And having worked for IBM and seen what they've gone through and how they're emerging now at the far end of this transition, they sold their services. They spun it off. They're not in services anymore. And that was supposed to be
IBM Cloud. 50, that's not them anymore.
No. When I said mean cloud, I mean the cloud that covers a company that's large.
Oh,
nothing
okay.
to do with cloud services. No, their cloud services are still there, but they sold their services company that does contract work. Meaning consultants. It's a new name, and I can't remember what it is. But they took the whole IBM Global Services and just spun it off. So that was supposed to be the thing, the anchor for the whole company going forward. The products were just things that would be fed into the cycle. Gone. The whole strategy has changed. IBM was going to be $1 trillion company. They talked about at one point, and never got there.
It's still the IBM.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
All right. Nick, you want to go for specials before we get into something else that may drag?
Yeah, sure. So, a lot of folks, you're driving around, you're doing your thing. You got to stop into a gas station, right? You need a drink, you need something to eat. Maybe you need to use the facilities. Well, it's a real pain when you're trying to order something at the gas station and you've got the marquee system that is providing you either a menu or some sort of promotional material is giving you a server not found error. And this is right above the chocolate chip cookies, and this is a detriment to trying to sell fresh baked cookies. Yeah, it's a real detriment. This is a Samsung Smart TV by the looks of it, because it says check Samsung.com, so it's probably running an internal server. They're running something internally to do the menu, and it probably doesn't have WAN access, and it rebooted or something like that. I saw that on Facebook this week. I thought it was pretty funny. All right, let's get into specials. I've got a really good mix of things this week. Amazon is running a huge sale on a whole bunch of their products, but one that I highlighted here, we talked about cheap tablets a couple of weeks ago. The Fire HD 10, and it's the 2021 model, so be advised of that. 32 gigabyte, 12-hour battery life, 3 gigabyte of RAM, and an octa-core processor is on sale for just $75. It's 50% off, where this thing normally MSRP is for $150. So you can get this Fire. This is the 32 gigabyte version. They have 64 gigabyte versions as well. Be aware of these. The Fire TV, the Fire tablets, you can get a version with ads, without ads.
Hold on.
You could also...
So, about that. With a PC and downloading a simple package that you connect with a USB, you can modify, it doesn't matter if it's with ads or not with ads, you can modify that OS to work as close to a regular Android as you want without removing the Amazon OS. So you still get best of both worlds. So there's nothing to be aware. It's a fantastic price for the hardware that they're giving.
Yeah. So if you're not technically minded and aren't going to do that and you don't want to deal with the ads, then there is. But I agree with God completely. A USB cable, you can pretty much, I'm sure with USB cable, you could probably run Windows on this device. So you can do pretty much anything that you want to do with it. A really, really good price. And all of the other Amazon, a whole bunch of other Amazon devices are all 70% off. And we'll get into another one coming up a little bit later, but they're smart lights, they're plugs, they're televisions that we talked about, Luna gaming devices, light bulbs, a whole bunch of Amazon stuff is on sale. So
And
check
to
all of that out.
to upgrade this tablet from 32 to 64 is only $20.
Yep. It is only $20. So if you need more storage, check that out. Next up, I thought this was a cool little device. It's over at Walmart, and this is also normally $150. This is a Asus Chromebook. So it's running Chrome OS, but same thing with this. You could heavily modify this to do whatever you wanted. It's got an Intel Celeron N3350, 4 gigabytes of RAM, and a 32 gigabyte hard drive. Pretty hard to beat for just generally needing a literal throwaway device. You can check that out over at Walmart for just $98. Next up is a product that I think would be awesome for folks just trying to get into Plex or home media. This is the company is called B-Link, and they make small form factor computers. And this one they've got here is the B-Link Mini. It is an 8th generation Intel, so it is a couple of years old. It's not the newest version and the hottest Intel version that's out. But it does have 16 gigabytes of RAM, a 500 gigabyte NVMe drive for boot, dual 4K HDMI outputs, as well as LAN and USB 3.0, so you could connect fast hard drives to it. Oh, this seems like it could be a great first Plex server for $280. You get one of those cheap USB 3.0 drives, load it up with media, and you could even connect it to your TV and get 4K display out of it.
First of all, it's a fantastic price for this one. I have a B-Link. I don't know if it's this generation or it's an 8th generation i5, you said?
Yeah.
I think that's equivalent to what we have. I bought it for my wife. It's her main PC.
Okay.
It is smooth as hell. And yes, the potential of this being a server in your home is great if you hook it up with some USB drives. Definitely. Keep in mind, it's constricted. You won't be able to put anything else, right, other than what it comes there. Maybe replace the NVMe if you need a larger one. But I agree. This as it trumps Raspberry Pi if you can get your hands on one, right? It trumps that by a huge factor. It will draw more power than a Raspberry Pi, but not by much because it's designed with a lot of laptop type internals, right? So
yeah,
power draw should be minimal here compared to a full tower. So definitely.
Yeah, you can replace the RAM in it as well. You can put up to 32 gigs of RAM. You can put up to a 2 terabyte NVMe in it as well, and it comes with Windows 11 Pro, which on itself is like $180 OS.
Correct.
So
yeah, I wish that would be transferable because I wouldn't put Windows on this one, right?
Yeah,
I would actually put like a TrueNAS. Well, TrueNAS will be problematic. Proxmox would work very well here.
Yeah, Proxmox or some sort of ESXi host. I just thought this was a really cool deal for folks that might want to step out onto the limb of running devices at home. We talk about Home Assistant. We talk about Plex. We talk about some of these other things. And, you could, yes, refurbish an old computer, old desktop. That's big, bulky, and loud. This thing you could put in a closet. You could put it under a desk. You could, again, connect it to your TV because it's 4K and use it as a home theater PC and actually watch content on it itself. So you can check that out over at Amazon. $279, a really, really good deal on that. All right, next up here, I've got an LG 29-inch ultra-wide, full HD IPS LED FreeSync monitor. This is a hell of a monitor. It's normally $200, and you can get it for just $150. So you save about $50 on that, and that's available over at buydig.com, which is a kind of a supplier for businesses and things like that. They buy a lot of stuff from there. You can check that out. They've got that over there on their website.
So the resolution, right? 256T on 180. Is
20,
that
yeah, 20,
like
25,
one and a
80,
half 180s?
It's
Something like
21
that?
by 9 is the aspect ratio, and yeah, because it's widescreen, it would be considered 2580p, which is not a standard resolution because of the aspect ratio. So
But
it's
for work it can be great.
Oh yeah, perfect for that. It's got HDMI 1.4 as well as a USB-C hub in it as well. Plus, it's got screen split, so I believe that you can connect multiple displays to it, 2 different devices, and actually split the screen itself. I believe that's the LG technology for screen split.
That's nice.
So
wait,
yeah,
that's that. Yeah, you're right. That's actually two 180s, 1080s side by side, basically.
correct.
So yeah. So you get the correct aspect ratio on half of the screen. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool. LG makes good monitors. Check that out over at
And the price is
buydig.com.
great.
So you're
Yeah, it
saying
is.
you
Price
can
is
have
great.
2 HDMI inputs split across the same screen?
I think so. What? Let me get through the specials, and I'll look at it after the specials, and I'll report back. All right. Next up here is we talk a lot about new devices and USB-C. Here is a Monoprice 40-watt 2-port USB-C power delivery device. Monoprice makes really good stuff. I know, cheap name brand, but the Monoprice cables and things are really, really nice. This is normally a $25 power brick, and it's on sale for just $14.45 over at Monoprice. If you're going to order a couple of other things, it might make sense to add this to your order so you can get free shipping. Next up, this one's a little bit weird. You can only buy it in store, and online prices are not indicating it. But the Roku voice remote, which I wish I would have known, or this, I wish this would have been on sale when I needed a new remote. These are normally $20, $19.99, and at select Target stores, if you can find them in stock, and there's a link to brickseek.com on the specials link so that you can search if it's available at your store. The Roku voice remotes are only $6. So if you have a Roku and you can find one of these in store, buy a backup, maybe even buy 2 if you've got a couple of Rokus. These are so cheap for their remotes, and I've had a couple of mine break over the years, battery leak and kind of corroded the motherboard inside of it. So you can get these voice remotes for just $6, only available in store. Click the link on the specials and put in your zip code, and it'll tell you if they're in stock or not.
Nick, it wouldn't corrode if you didn't use it in the shower.
Well, Spence, I don't know why you have to be so critical of me using my TCL, $49 television in the shower. I mean, I don't know why it's, I don't know what you want me to do. It's, it's a free country.
Well,
At least I thought it was
DC powered, so you won't electrocute yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a free country.
But I do have a question about the remote, though.
Yes.
Will these remote, the voice remote, work with Roku TVs?
Yes.
Not sure they will.
Any device, you can pair them to anything.
Is
So
there
you can
any,
pair them to any Roku device.
any
And
backward
the TV is
compatible
considered a
issues?
Roku device.
I mean,
I think the audio won't work, though.
This doesn't when you say the audio won't work, what do you mean?
it's a voice. You
Oh,
talk
yeah.
to
Well,
it.
if you have a device that doesn't support voice, then yeah, it's correct. It's not going to work, but it will work as a Roku remote to any
So
Roku
it's not
device.
the one that has the earplugs,
No.
the plug for earphones? Okay.
No, sir. No, it's just the voice remote. And it has the TV control too. So it's got the IR control in it too. So you can connect it, you can bridge it to your IR device and have it control your.
Sounds like this will work with everything. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I've got one of these, and it controls my Vizio soundbar and TV all from one remote, and it's got the power button. So yeah, really cool device. If you can find it in stock, check it out over at Target. That is. Next up is a Casa branded device. This is TP-Link's smart home brand. And I know we talk about Home Assistant and Z-Wave, but if you're in the Casa ecosystem, which a lot of people are, here's a pretty cool device. This is their smart motion sensor, which, by the way, you could hook this up to Home Assistant or other home automations as well. and set up things like turning off lights with presence detection and things like that to save electricity within your house. This is normally a $50 device. It's a smart motion sensor, single pole dimmer light switch, and you can get it for just $25. There is a promo code, and that link is out in the specials at computers2know.com. Next up, does anybody know where this ad is from? The blue picture. Can anybody tell me? Besides Amnon. Spence, Gal.
Bed Bath and Beyond.
Oh, I know.
No, that is Harbor Freight, ladies and gentlemen, the best place for tools and things. This is only valid through today. You get, it says free gift just for stopping by. You get a free LED ultrabright portable flashlight.
I'm in the car. I'm in the car on my way right now.
There you go. They got a whole bunch of other stuff on sale too. There is a coupon code online. You just go to harborfreight.com. And if you're out and about today, swing by Harbor Freight, swing in and get a free flashlight. Pretty hard to beat there. Next up is a Ring doorbell, which Amazon owns Ring, correct?
Yeah.
So it's part of that sale that they're doing, which you can find these devices on Amazon or ring.com. They have two different versions that I've got here. They've got the wired doorbell, which is their cheapest, that you wire up, and I don't know how you wire it up, but you do have to. I assume you connect it to. Does it run on 5 volts like a normal doorbell? I'm not.
I think 12
exactly
volts,
sure.
but the normal doorbell and 12 volts.
It's
okay. So
18 volts AC.
Is that what a doorbell is?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, yeah. So you'd have to wire this in. There's instruction guides for that. It's only $39, which is incredibly cheap for a doorbell. It's 25% off. If you don't have maybe your house isn't wired for a doorbell, or you're like me, the doorbell wiring is not working. It's broken somewhere between the front door and the chime in the closet. So they also have the wireless edition, I should say, that comes with a chime. So you wire it in, but it has a separate chime that you can plug in if your chime doesn't work, or maybe you don't have a doorbell. I don't know why. You can check that one out for $70. So both of those are on sale over at ring.com and on Amazon. Next up, I really love Logitech peripherals. I've got a Logitech keyboard. I've got a Logitech mouse, Logitech headsets. And this is the Logitech G502 Hero wired gaming mouse. Now, if you go to Target's website, you'll see that it's listed for $49.99. But if you sign up for Target Circle, which is their free kind of rewards program, you save 30% on this device. So you can get it for $35. It's available both in store and online. The Target store here in Wilmington has 4 left, so you could purchase it and just go pick it up when you're out running your errands. You check that out for just $49.99. Next up is this is a interesting device over at Walmart, a restored, so it's a factory restored or manufacturer restored HP TG01 gaming desktop. It runs a Ryzen 5 5600G, which is a 3.9 gigahertz AMD processor. It's also got a Radeon FX 5500 video card. It only has 8 gigabytes of internal RAM, which I find to be very odd on a computer of this capacity, and only a 506 gigabyte, 256 gigabyte SSD. But for $400, it is relatively cheap. So you can check that out over at Walmart. And I had to put this in here too. This was a great deal. The Jungle Master machete with reversible with a reversible blade on it. So it's got a saw blade on one side and then the machete blade on the other. If you're going through your jungle adventures,
is that
this
auto?
Is
Auto sensing the blade, so it detects the type of obstacle you're trying to chop, and it switches back and forth between serrated and flat?
I guess it's possible. Yeah, if you use it correctly. I just thought this was a funny. The reason I put it in here was, first, it was funny, but also it's got 900 reviews on Amazon and it's got 4.5 stars. So people really like this device. It's normally $40 and it's just $11. I'm gonna order one of these. It's a #1 bestseller for garden machetes. So I mean, what can you say more than that?
I have a great machete story. Quick, when I moved I was a manager of a tech team here in Raleigh, and I left to move to a different job. My team had lunch for me at a sports bar, and one of the guys brought and gave me a machete in the sports bar. I said, Steve, you can't give this to me here. Oh, well, I said, well, Steve, just think about it. Think about what people are going to see. He gave.
Yeah, I mean,
he says, this is
it is
for
a
your new
problem.
job.
Yeah. So buyer beware. That's over at Amazon for just $11.19. And then finally here this morning, Amnon was talking about Windows NT. If you keep scrolling down, this is the eBay listing for Microsoft Windows NT Server 4.0. This comes with a plethora of floppy disks to do the installation. It also looks like it has a CD copy of it as well. Box, all of the documentation with it as well. You have to act quick, Amnon. This ends at 3:06 Eastern today. So you have less than 5 hours to get your bids in for just $19.99. I mean, Steve Ballmer would be proud. So check that out over at eBay. There's a link in the specials for that as well.
Amnon, you've been putting off that 4.0 server upgrade, so it's now time to do it.
Yeah, well, yeah, we talked about that Exchange issue earlier this morning. This update will fix that exploit for you. That's specials.
Yep. All right.
I actually think the storage space that thing took, right, is worth more than $20.
Oh, at the time?
Think about the amount of time.
Yeah. It's a five disc floppy set for the installation, and then there's 4 system disks that you also need as well. So it's a full package.
Yeah, but just think about that box, right? Taking up space on somebody's shelf.
Tell you what, though, that is a big collection.
More than $20.
A lot of people collect. They call them big box software, big box games. There's a lot of folks that that collect that stuff. They really like it. And I know Amnon does. I mean, that's Christ. His whole the house is that stuff.
I don't remember
Amnon
who
is
gave
not a hoarder. Everything is functional. It might have some use someday.
who gave me the copy of Windows NT Server.
You brought a box from someone. I remember you showed me all of
No. Either Nick or Spence or you.
It was me.
Okay.
Yeah, it was me.
Because I remember for my
Was it me?
birthday. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, it was me. I got it for your birthday. Yes, I do
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I bought it on. I think I bought it on eBay.
Right next to the book up there. Yep.
Yes. Oh, totally forgot I did that. That was years ago.
So I don't need another one. But I think this is a CD. The box is too small to be floppy based.
Beggars can't be choosers.
You can put this one on your nightstand for ready reference.
For quick patching and quick
That's right.
installation.
You never know. In the middle of the night, you might wake up and
Now
say,
talking
how do
about,
do this?"
which of you rode bicycles when you were young?
I did.
Which of you put a card on the chassis?
No, I hated those who did that.
So
I did it with a
cars. We did a
clothespin. I did it with cards.
Yeah, with a clothespin. Okay. So now, remember the clicking sound of spinning hard disks? One problem with retro computing is that we replace those disks with compact flash, SD cards, or even SSD. Those do not make any noise that you can hear under usual circumstances, which is partly nice because the computer becomes quieter, but also irritating because sometimes you can't tell if the computer has crashed or is still working.
I can see where this is
So
going.
there's a software that does it.
There's this little device fixes that issue. It's called the HDD clicker, and it's a very unique little gadget. I don't have a picture of it, but it's called a HDD clicker. And they said it was a little bitty dongle that you put, and you get that sound like the hard drive is clicking.
Oh, you connect it to the HDMI.
I don't know.
USB. So it
No.
must pick up-
No.
must
The
pick
whole
up on
idea
drive
is that
activity.
it's in line with the connection to the hard drive. So the way it looks here, I think it connects to the LED that flashes if the NVMe has a LED. But I'm trying to get more details.
Yeah, I mean,
somebody figured of a hardware mechanism to do it. Interesting.
so, but you don't want that click of death, you know. That's remember that?
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
was like a click,
Yep.
click,
Exactly.
access click. Yep. What was the storage? What do they call that one? What was the brand that had the hard disks that you could put
yeah.
into a tray? And what was it called?
Oh,
Gosh, it's right there. Yeah. Mm.
a little blue.
Yep.
That came
Yeah, and there's
between the
that software
floppy.
by Gibson, right?
Oh, the spin right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here's something for you guys that do all kind of virtualizations and things like that. For decades, security researchers warned about techniques for hijacking virtualization software. Now, one group has put them into practice. For decades, virtualization software has offered a way to vastly multiply computers' efficiency, hosting entire collection of computers as virtual machines on just one physical machine. And for almost as long, security researchers have warned about the potential dark side of that technology. Theoretical hyperjacking and blue pill attacks, where hackers hijack virtualization to spy on and manipulate virtual machines with potentially no way for the targeted computer to detect the intrusion. That insidious spying has finally jumped from research papers to reality, with warnings that one mysterious team of hackers had carried out a spree of hyperjacking attacks in the wild. Last week, Google owned security firm Mediant and virtualization firm VMware jointly published warnings that a sophisticated hacker group has been installing backdoors in VMware's virtualization software on multiple targets networks as part of an apparent espionage campaign. By planting their own code in victims' so-called hypervisors, VMware software that runs on a physical computer to manage all the virtual machines it hosts, the hackers were able to invisibly watch and run commands on the computers those hypervisors oversee. And because the malicious code targets the hypervisor on the physical machine rather than the victim's virtual machines, the hacker's trick multiplies their access and evades nearly all traditional security measures designed to monitor those target machines for signs of foul play. So, those of you who are into virtualization, Nick, you do it. I know Gal, you do it. What do you think? I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, but I mean, so the news here is that it has been found in the wild.
Yeah.
I haven't read the entire article. I see it now in Ars Technica. I don't know how they gained access to the hypervisor.
Yeah, that's the question.
But I understand what they're saying. But they also say, because it's running on the hypervisor and it says that it can detect anything that's running on the machines,
Mm-hmm.
if it's undetectable in the machines, it means that it's getting everything the hypervisor gets. We're talking bandwidth wise, right? We're talking about a huge amount of bandwidth. So it can happen. In this particular situation, it sounds like somebody made it work, but we don't know how fast it was detected. It's a problem. It's an understandable problem. Nobody has ever played it down. It's just I don't know how practical it is in the long term for an attack. So for espionage, probably very. If they need something very, very short term, yeah, it's interesting. It's still, even though it has been found in the wild, it feels very academic. It feels very like, okay, but we don't know what the impact is, right? I don't see anything news. Like, it's not really new.
No, it's not.
Everybody's talking
whole,
about it for ages.
Yeah.
If you have access to the hypervisor, yes, you will be able to control everything within those, as if you have physical access to those machines. Yeah. So,
well, obviously, if they did it and they were successful, there must be maybe it was involved. Maybe
we don't. What version of hypervisor are they running? Is it VMware? Is it?
Well, it says VMware.
It's just VMware.
Well, yeah. They were saying that Mediant and VMware jointly published warning.
It says installing a malicious version of VMware. So you need to get VMware ISO, not from VMware, right? You need to
yeah.
And the thing is, the hypervisor for VMware, at least ESXi, it's free. So all you need to go to VMware and download that ISO, right? So it's very involved here, but it seems like the only way to actually get this type of access is social engineering first. So,
all right. I just thought that this is interesting.
No, it's interesting. I'm not saying it's not. It's just not alarming.
I'd like to see an analysis of the tainted versions and how they were distributed, if they could figure that out.
Yeah, it says, while there is no VMware vulnerability involved, right? That's why I'm saying it's interesting, but not alarming. It's not as if everybody's exposed suddenly, or the exposure has risen more than the theoretical. Okay? I mean, good for the hackers, whoever they're to achieve this, but doesn't feel like a threat, a new threat. That's what I mean.
Well, it's not a new threat. I mean,
exactly.
It's been a threat on paper for years, but now they said that it's actually in the wild.
When we're talking about hacking, any hacking, right? Any hijacking, breach, there is always there's two possible reasons for that, right? One is there was some technical flaw that was abused, right? And those are the alarming ones, because it might mean that technical flaw exists everywhere. And the other is somebody did a stupid mistake, which is most of the time. But anytime you read about a hacking or a breach, right? Nobody goes to those details, because all the news want to say is, did you hear about the terrible thing that happened? Yeah. Right? And so that's why I'm saying this is interesting. It's not alarming.
Okay.
It is just something that was eventually going to happen, but it does seem to fall into somebody made a grave error, right? As opposed to you're using the wrong solution. So.
All right. Okay, that's good. That's, I mean, I thought that.
Yeah.
Y'all's take on it would be. All right.
Look, we all love it when Ars Technica publishes something, right? Because they usually bring a lot of context into it, but sometimes they also hyperbole, right? The content. So yeah.
All right, Spence. So you had Google digging on your street.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So you're thinking about going with them?
I'm just using. I'm glad to have more leverage. Now I have 3 choices instead of 2.
So you want to wait because Google Fiber is touting a test that delivered 20 gigabits download speed in a house in Kansas City, calling it a milestone on the path to offering 100 gigabits symmetrical internet. 100 gigabits symmetrical. We all need it, don't we? We don't have time to wait.
I guess these computer manufacturers are going to have to start picking it up because they're not most, unless you buy a high-end motherboard, you're not getting even 10 gigabit LAN.
Yeah, that's just not
100 gigabit is like you got to be practice. I think you need to be buying. You either need an external card or a server grade board to get
what's the
100 megabit.
what's
No,
the
no,
back,
100 gigabit.
What's
the fastest speed now for on the bus between devices?
But it depends on what you're talking. If you're talking fiber or
no, I mean if you can obviously
your
when you
hard
get
drive?
to yeah.
What we're talking 600?
something like that. Yeah, NVMe
600
NVMe 4.
But then you got to add all the other overhead for going between the card and to the video, and you just
well, the biggest
the fastest bus is to the memory, but I don't remember where it's at.
the one big problem with and in this case we're talking about 100 gigabit connection to the WAN outside of your network. But I watch a lot of Linus Tech Tips, and they do a whole bunch of cool projects, and they're running 100 gig in their facility because their editors edit off of a NAS. Essentially, they edit off of a network device. The biggest problem is not the fiber, not the transceivers, not the server. It's Windows on the workstations. The Windows file transfer cannot support those kinds of speeds. It's just not possible. Now, if you're running all Linux and maybe you'll have better luck, but the biggest thing I've always seen from him is always talking about Windows File Manager is the bottleneck in the way that it transfers files. So, you're not going to download anything at 100 gigabits.
Yeah, but I think you're missing the audience here, right? Once we have 20 gigs coming into our home, then it's all there because of green policy, and the idea is instead of to convert your heating right into a server farm. Then you get server farms that do cryptocurrency. They bring you money, but they also hit the home, right? So
that's a very good idea.
You see, yeah, there's logic around this. You need to actually think about the future here.
Well, as you know, I'm very stuck in the past. So yes,
So they're saying we used to get asked who needs a gig. Today, it's no longer a question.
Nobody.
Google.
No end consumer. A business, sure.
Right.
End consumer, no.
Google
Even
Fiber
business. I'm telling you.
What?
Even a business doesn't need a gig outside.
If you're a business, you could premise host your website or applications or things like that. Absolutely.
Yeah, but you don't want to self-host anyway.
Yeah, but if you have a gigabit connection or 100 gigabit connection, why would you not want to self-host? You'd save a fortune.
I actually think you'll save a fortune by hosting on a VPS on the cheap and using their bandwidth instead of building infrastructure that you don't really need.
I'm just trying to think of how many bandwidth hungry applications can you host in the cloud that would take advantage of if you're an engineering company and you do a lot of CAD and a lot of large files, chances are you're not doing your live edits through the cloud unless you have enormous bandwidth. Yeah.
My Plex server is long dead, right? I no longer.
Unfortunately,
at the peak, I hosted. I think I had like 5 live streams, right, going outside the home, right, friends watching, and so at the peak, and I was using either 100 or 300 or 500 line. It was never saturated, even with 100. outgoing. It was
100
never
megabits.
separated. What?
Yeah,
100 megabits?
Yeah. I started with 100, and then they upgraded me automatically to 300. That was still the same price, and then they upgraded me with rising it by $5 a month to 500, just because they just did away with the slower speeds, Google Fiber, and so I'm today on a 500 line. I don't need that. Like, give me 100, I'll be satisfied.
Somebody must need it because there's no way it is worth. And I agree with you, Gal. I don't know who, but the infrastructure that they have to build out to provide 100 gigabit to your house is exorbitantly expensive. Those 100 gig transceivers versus gig transceivers are night and day in terms of cost.
I remember
very, very expensive.
It's over 10 years ago when 40 gig was being introduced into the backbone, where 10 gig was the predominant transmission speed, and then they were moving to 40, and the cost variable was enormous to change to 40. But they were doing it anyway because they were saying we want to be prepared instead of lag. We don't want to be the bottleneck in the future, where it's faster at the
and that's
end user.
That's a good decision.
And they did that. So now if they're still the 40 when it went in, the good news is that with the new technologies, they could use a single pair of fiber and send multiple 40 channel.
Yeah, just get a better transceiver.
DWDM, right there. It's wavelength division multiplexing. Sent it, so they didn't have to upgrade all the fiber. They just had to upgrade the ends, which was amazing.
But by the way, still expensive. Those transceivers cost $500-$600. Yeah,
it's the silicon that's expensive.
Yeah.
And
so I don't know.
You've got what they call the OEO transversion, optical, electrical, optical. Every time you go from an optical input to a processing device and then you send it to optical band, you have a delay because of the speed of the transfer, OEO they call it, right? And you got to take that into account. It's not that nobody's come up with a viable optical switch that can say fiber in through a fiber matrix, fiber out, without ever changing to electrical impulses. Nortel actually bought a company that said they could do this, but they lied. They paid billions of dollars for a company, and it never happened. They said, we have these tiny mirrors that switch.
Talk about due diligence.
Technology didn't exist.
Wow.
Still can't do it. Physically not possible.
Oh.
They'll do it someday, but they don't do it yet.
Yes.
Come on, Spence. They said speed faster than light travel is impossible. That's happen.
Right. Yeah.
Ask Elon Musk. I'm sure he could figure it out.
Did anybody watch the asteroid impact?
Yeah, I did.
But I was watching this. I said, this is pretty cool, but it's not unprecedented. We've seen things crash into comets and that before.
I think it's unprecedented that we spent.
People in the room, they were losing their minds.
I think it's unprecedented that we spent $350 million to crash a stupid rocket into a moon. What a waste.
Yeah. Well, from a planetary defense standpoint, it might have been worth the try just to see. We don't know.
And we won't know for months.
Well, yeah, and we won't know until we actually try it on a real threat.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it works or not.
Anybody watched Musk unveiling the
robot?
Yeah. Optimus?
No.
Oh boy.
Did it go as good as the space? Did it go as good as the Tesla truck one where they threw the rock at the window and it shattered?
Yeah. I mean, it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting and promising. I like it.
Are they going to have a coupon for purchase? 10% off?
He said that it's. Did you see it? He said that it's going to cost less than $20,000, less than a new car.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Amnon, can you get a couple of
humanoid test units and
get us sold?
Review units. What?
Is it being sold
did he
under
say
the Tesla
specifically
brand?
less than a Honda?
Can you get a Honda for
I guess he meant less than a Tesla.
No, I actually think Honda are the first ones who showed a robot. Remember?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why I'm thinking.
Oh,
that was the one that they showed how they could push it over and it could recover.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what are they selling it under the Tesla brand, or is there another brand name?
No, it's Optimus.
Optimus. That's it. Okay. I wanted to find it.
All right. Codename Raptor Lake. What do you think it is? Raptor Lake.
Raptor Lake.
Yeah.
It is an
Cryptocurrency.
Intel.
Intel says
Yeah.
it has made some improvements to the CPU architecture and the Intel 7 manufacturing process, but the strategy for improving their performance is both time-tested and easy to understand. Add more cores and make them run at higher clock speeds. Intel is announcing 3 new CPUs they did last week, each with or without integrated graphics. The Core i9 13900K, the Core i7 13700K, and Core i5 13600K will launch on October 20th, alongside new Z790 chipsets and motherboards. They will also work in all current generation 600 series motherboards, as long as your motherboard maker has provided a BIOS update and will continue to support both DDR4 and DDR5 memory. So you can get a much faster Intel processor, and it's just more cores and faster cycle. Interesting. How many
Give
do
me
you
more
want?
speed. I need more speed.
I need more speed. Yeah. Well, talk about
You can't
speed.
take it any longer, Captain.
I never heard about what. I never heard about this company, Fast Company.
Oh, it's a news
Okay.
fast company. Yeah,
Hackers infiltrated Fast Company's push notification to send out racial slurs last Tuesday night. They also stole a database that included employee emails, password hashes, and some of them in unpublished drafts, among other information. Customer records were safe, though most likely because they're kept in a separate database. This is coming from Engadget. Apple has addressed the situation in a tweet, confirming that the website has been hacked and that it has suspended Fast Company's account. I don't know why Apple is jumping there, but maybe they have something to do with them. And talking about hacks, one of my customers sent an email this week saying, I just got this email. And I'm sure a lot of you got that email about, I've got software that I can look through your cam and I see where you're going to. And you
Emily
need to,
got it. Emily got it.
I mean,
She
a lot of
called me.
people getting
Yeah.
these. Only this one in the beginning said, we hacked your site. We used some vulnerability to do this. And they sent it to me and they said, we assume this is spam. And I said, yeah. I looked at the headers and the headers showed that it came from the server, not from a foreign IP. And I said, oh. I went to look and it says that it came from the contact.
So it's something on his machine.
It's something on, this is a WordPress site. Nick, this is the Candyman.
Oh, really?
There is contact 7 or something like that.
Yeah,
7.
contact form 7. Mhm.
Yeah. And what they did is none of the fields has a limit of how many characters.
Interesting.
So they stuck it in the comments, which can take as much. So I went and I did some reading and figured out how to limit the number of characters in each field, and it's pretty simple. So I went
you just
ahead and
set
I
the
fixed it.
parameter.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know why they don't do that by default. Why do you have to have unlimited for phone number? You know, I mean, it
Well,
seems like they would
depending
do.
on how old the installation is
Yeah.
of the website and how they change those things over time with plugins. But if you have a form, for example, if you
No,
created
this
a
is a
form,
plugin.
I'm saying
Oh,
you created the form 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then they've done updates. And now when you create a new form, there's a character limit. Your
okay.
old form, they don't retroactively, they don't touch your old form. So it's one of those things that maybe over time, I'm sure at this point, maybe they do. But if you have an older contact form, those settings aren't going to default. Maybe. I agree with you. It's a stupid thing to have.
Yep. And Apple has removed the iOS apps belonging to VK, the technology conglomerate behind Russia's version of Facebook called VKontakte, from its app store globally. In a translated statement on its website, VK said that its apps are blocked by Apple, but that it will continue to develop and support iOS applications. In response to an inquiry by The Verge, Apple's spokesperson confirmed that VK Apps has been removed and its developer accounts shut down.
Well, VK has been abused for
By Putin?
video streaming, pornography.
Oh.
Yeah, very little moderation was on that platform, and so a lot of piracy was going through there. So if you wanted to watch, let's say, a live stream, one of the solutions would always be to search for a VK sourced stream. So I'm guessing that has to do something with it. I don't know if it's more than that, like if it's political or because that's been going on for years. So I don't know what's new.
All right. Now here, I know that applies probably to Gal more than anybody else here. A major new survey from Microsoft shows that bosses and workers fundamentally disagree about productivity when working from home. Bosses worry about whether working from home is as productive as being in the office. While 87% of workers felt they worked as or more efficiently from home, 80% of managers disagreed. The survey question more than blah, 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 and they just go about it. So, what do you guys think? Do you think that people working from home are more productive or less productive?
Depends on the job.
Yeah, well, if you're
really
a
depends
brick
on the
mason, if it's a brick mason, I'm
No,
sure.
there's some people that can't work from home. That's just impossible. So, but for the people who work from home, when I switched to home-based complete, full time, I found that my productivity went up, but I still had the need to go to the office at least once a week to a drop-in space because of meetings. Because there are meetings you couldn't do virtually because you're in a whiteboard session. It's really tough to do with a bunch of people in a room making suggestions and raising their hands and things like that on the early video systems. Now it's better, but no, I think it really depends on the job. And for me, when I was in a cube and I would be working, I'd have to go into a conference room to do certain things because the interruptions from hearing people's phone calls and all that stuff was unnerving. My manager had such a loud voice and he'd pace back and forth in front of his cube talking on the phone with a long cord. It's like I couldn't have a conversation with somebody else with that in the background.
So I think those managers, right? Those 80% of managers, we need to see if they work in an office of their own in the building. No,
Yes.
this is like
Yeah.
I'm completely serious here.
Yeah.
If they are working in an office in the building that they have to go into, right? I would really ask if they are sitting in an office and the rest of their workers are in the same situation, or are they in open space? That's one. I personally, I really like going to the office. I didn't do more work going to the office. I liked it because I got to socialize a lot more, right? I am working now in a company that's completely remote, right? Because we're spread all across the East Coast, and we also have one person working on the West Coast. And I can tell you that what Spence mentioned about meetings, we have regular meetings, we have meetings where we do brainstorming and collective sharing of ideas, and we do that on a Google Doc, right? That's online. Everybody's editing it at the same time, and then we go and review it. It works. It just requires a different discipline. It requires a different approach to the work. Is this more productive than sitting together in an office? Maybe not more productive, but you definitely cut commute time, right? So I would say for the individual worker, it is much more productive just staying at home if and and this is the biggest thing, if they have the infrastructure to support them, if they have a comfortable office, if they have good internet connection, right? If they have stable power without interruptions. The thing is that the office space today does not necessarily have that either, because everything is open space. And open space works, but it doesn't work for everyone. And so I call bullshit on the 80% to say they think not, because I think they're not looking at the right factors. They're dismissing a lot, and they're not comparing themselves to their workers and what's the difference.
What I what I noticed when I was working at my IT job and we went remote, is I found myself working less in terms of the amount of in terms of the amount of hours, even though I was still clocked in for the same amount. I would get up and use the bathroom more frequently and go to the kitchen and grab a snack or get something to drink or deal with the cat for a few minutes. But even though I was probably spending less time actively working, because I found my productivity to be so much higher, I got so much more done, even though I was actually working less in terms of time. So yes, was I more distracted at home? Absolutely. Was I sitting at the desk every second of every day for 8 hours? No, I got up very frequently, more than once an hour. But when I was sitting here actively working, I was so much more productive than I was at the office. So, yeah, spending less time, sure. More productivity, absolutely. That was just my experience.
I agree. And if you ask the workers, right, that is exactly their point. And whenever you ask a manager, nobody is asking, at least the media or the way they're trying to show it, nobody is asking those questions. Nobody is gathering those statistics. Nobody is looking at those factors. How do these managers work compared to their employees?
The big selling point when we went home based was how much it was saving the company, because they calculated how much each cube cost at the real estate cost. So it was much cheaper to have people work from home. But that when they first started this program, they were putting in things like T1, ISDN lines.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, you weren't doing bandwidth intensive stuff. As it got better, when we got cable modems and all that, we started to move into that where we'd have large configuration files we're downloading, and we did start to do video conferencing and virtualization and that kind of stuff. But I still think no matter what, as long as the infrastructure supports it, you're more productive at home. If you're that kind of contributor, obviously, if you're working with a team of people, true. But if you're working with a team of people that requires hands-on interaction, Like you're in a laboratory setting and all that. You
Yeah.
can't work from home.
No.
I mean, it's very practical to figure out whether it's worth it or not.
Well, but soon with Elon Musk's robot, you might be able to.
Yeah, that's right. I could sit at my desk and have a bunch of sensors on me, and the robot could be in the lab, right? Doing what I'm doing.
Remember that terrible movie with Bruce Willis, Replicas?
No.
What was it called?
Everybody would be in a pod at home, and a replica of them would walk the streets. So you would be completely safe, even if your replica is, chopped off.
Sounds like Avatar. Sort of, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but Avatar is aliens and stuff, right?
Right.
It's like this was a murder investigation by a cop, but it wasn't a good movie, but the implementation was interesting. So Replicas, I think that was its name.
All right. Here's another one here. The Federal Trade Commission is facing mounting pressure to block Amazon's proposed $1.65 billion purchase of iRobot, the company behind Roomba autonomous vacuum.
Oh, yes.
In a letter to FTC Chair Linda Khan on Thursday, a group of Democratic lawmakers argue that the proposed merger would unfairly bolster Amazon's dominance in the smart home market by acquiring one of the company's leading competitors. They also criticized Amazon's data privacy and security practices following past acquisitions of companies like Ring, including data sharing partnerships with over 600 law enforcement agencies across the country. So,
how is iRobot a competitor?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Competitor to who?
They
To
just don't
Amazon.
like Musk.
To-
They just don't like Musk. They want to shut him down.
Oh, it's got nothing.
I'm sorry, not
No,
Musk.
no,
They don't like
Amazon.
Amazon. For
Yeah,
some
but I
reason.
mean, it's true. I mean, how are they competitors?
I'm
in-
looking now at Roomba to look at their product set to find out, well, just exactly what do they make?
God, they're selling it on Amazon.
It's not,
Oh, wait, well,
but they own it. Amazon bought them.
No, you see, they're talking apparently not yet. Because
Well, I know
they're-
not yet. Yeah, but the deal hasn't gone through. Yeah.
Yeah, because so now they're facing mounting pressure to block it.
Who?
The FTC.
Oh,
The
yeah. Well,
FTC
this happens every time a company merges. Let me tell you what the similar product is, and it's not a physical product. It's the intelligence. It's the machine learning, probably from the robot not bumping into a corner and mapping out a house. That's more than like Amazon. If you remember, Amazon has a robot already. It's not a vacuum, but it is a robot that does something similar. So that's probably the technology that they're referring to that's similar, but they're not in direct competition, at least from a product standpoint. You might be able to make the argument from a programming and a intellectual property standpoint they are.
Okay, well, maybe.
as far as I can see on their website, they don't have anything other than vacuums.
It's what powers those vacuums that are the
Magic pixie dust.
So, how many of you use Exchange? Anybody? Yeah. Well, Microsoft is about to eliminate a method for logging into its Exchange online email service that is widely considered vulnerable and outdated, but that some businesses still rely on. The company said that as of October 1st, it will begin to disable what's known as basic authentication for customers
Well,
that
about time.
What? But
About time.
they continue to use the system. Basic authentication typically requires only a username and password for login. The system does not play well with multi-factor authentication and is prone to a host of other heightened security risks. So Microsoft said that for several types of common password-based threats, attackers almost exclusively target accounts that are that use basic authentication. So they're going to they stopped it. I mean, as of yesterday, apparently.
So if they're stopping it, what are they going to use?
No, that's the login. I mean, the servers can still use.
There were different methods. Basic authentication is just that, basic authentication, like sending your username and password in plain text.
So they eliminated that because they have more secure login.
Yeah, for ages.
Okay, so I don't. What's the big deal?
Well, it's not a big deal.
Like they're blocking the option completely. They're removing it completely from the product.
Some people are going to have to join the 21st century.
Yeah. That Windows XP machine that Amnon's used to run, that won't work.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's apparently all the server itself. The service supports all the latest.
Yeah,
but people are just not using it. They're just using username and password. Now I'm.
It's not just username password. It's username password in plain text.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah.
Base 64 encoded, which is equivalent, right? It's not encrypted. It's not anything. So.
Oh, they're doing it anyway.
Good news.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I just saw the story this morning about Brave browsers to start blocking annoying cookie consent banners. So if they're blocking it,
then you don't know whether to agree or not.
Right. So what is the exposure? If you by going to the page, you're not consenting or not. If you close the banner yourself,
yeah,
does that mean you're accepting the terms?
Yes.
Typically.
Really?
That's what I thought.
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
no.
The banner means nothing because before the banner even shows, right, you already got a cookie from the server.
Right.
So it's all bullshit, right? I would say put a huge disclaimer, right, on the browser when you install it, right, or the first time you open a new profile in it. I accept all cookies, blah, 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 or I want to block all cookies, blah, 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 and that's it, right? The fact that we need to do it per site is ridiculous. It means nothing. No site can effectively, most of the time, can't really work properly without a cookie because it needs some state. It needs to save some state about your visit. Now, whether that state contains some sort of identification of your session or not, right? I mean, I don't see how you can do without it. We're talking about computers here. If you do not use it, then you use stuff that you may not identify the user, but it'll still identify the session. So yeah, accept it. We're with cookies and they're not going away. Block all third-party cookies. That I would say yes.
I just wanted to come
let's see website works with that.
I want sugar-free cookies.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
No third party. No sugar added.
Gluten-free.
Now, all the talk about cookies is the focus on them, right? Seems so. It seems like it's a very easy soundbite with zero understanding, right? I mean, we all know how these websites work. Everybody here, and we all understand what the cookie does, and it is no different than the waiter knowing to which chair inside the table to give the dish as they jot down on their pad, right? It's no different. You're not being tracked just by the fact that there are cookies.
Yeah, but I go to restaurants and people deliver the wrong stuff to the wrong person all the time.
Yeah, that's because you didn't accept.
I didn't accept the cookies when I walked in.
Exactly.
Will you accept a virtual seat assignment trip?
Would you accept, right? The wrong fortune cookie.
That's right. Who knows?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So yeah, it's easy to talk about it, but it all is zero understanding, and it doesn't make any sense. The focus on it, it seems like it's deterring from real issues. That's what bothers me.
what do you mean real issues? This is real issue.
Privacy is a real issue. Cookies have zero to do with privacy. It's the way they are manipulated, it's the way they are collected.
Yeah.
It has
Okay.
nothing to do with the way they are managed, right? It has nothing to do with the fact of should I accept or should I not accept. So it's all about the site and its privacy policy, but it's never about whether it's using cookies or not. That's what I mean,
Yeah.
right? And that's what this is another case of we started the show with how regulation will go on gas tanks, right? If we put them above, and this is exactly this, right? Some sort of regulation in Europe caused asked for visibility of cookies, right? And so every website shows a prompt that this website is utilizing cookies, but it doesn't do any good. It's not like this changed anyone's behavior. It's just another click we need to do, right? We need to go through, and nothing has changed. That's my problem. It's like, that's what the conversation is about this, but this has nothing to do with it. And we're stuck with it now for eternity because somebody thought this bullshit is important. So.
Well, it's all right. This too shall pass. Anything else, guys? It's about time.
I'm still getting ready to jump in the car and go to Harbor Freight.
Yeah, I'm gonna head
Get
over
my
there.
flashlight. There's two
Oh, yeah.
Harbor Freights around, so I can go to both and get one at each one.
You're absolutely right. You can, yes,
Yeah.
sir. I might drive up to Raleigh. I can get one here and then drive up to Raleigh and get two more. And
Got
come
one.
back.
There's one in Cary too.
I mean,
Yep.
That's the closest one.
you can also get
All
a
right.
compounding miter saw on sale too. In case you're wondering.
I bought their MIDI grid one years ago, and I still use it for knockaround work. It's not real accurate, but it was a good tool. And
I have a
use
Harbor
it-
Freight generator. I've been very happy with it. I have a Predator
I have a
generator.
Harbor
I've been
Freight
very
tile
happy.
saw that is just really well made.
Amnon,
Yeah.
sounds like you need to change the sponsorship and add a Harbor Freight.
That's it.
It'll be knock
Yep,
off
yep.
sponsorship like all
Yeah.
their products. Call it the Pittsburgh Automotive.
Yes,
or
that's
whatever
it.
their brand is.
Last week, I got another notice from YouTube that they removed the no, they didn't remove. They removed the video from some countries because I don't have the copyright, not for the music, but for the video, for the whole show.
Oh, well. I mean, Amnon, you really should have been following all these rules all along.
I mean-
told you. I warned you. I warned you that you couldn't get away with this madness forever, and eventually somebody was going to catch on, Amnon. I told you. I tried to tell you.
So,
Freaking
are you
believable.
saying that it's starting to be harder to stream than to actually host a mail server?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Not only that, it's harder to stream than to host porn sites.
You're hosting porn
Maybe-
sites?
No,
Wait,
But I'm
Amnon,
just
no,
saying.
no. This is fantastic. Maybe we should do a live stream on Pornhub. They wouldn't take us down. No, think about it.
well, the nice thing is that they cannot do anything when you are live streaming.
Hey, Gal, what do you
Yeah.
think the related videos would look like on
What do we care?
Pornhub? What do you think the
We're just invading
recommendations
each
are?
other's
Also-
site. What do we care?
Also recommended for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that would be that'd be interesting.
Look, we're opening ourselves to a completely new audience.
Oh boy, that gives new meaning to the word tool.
Okay, before we go too
Sponsored
far,
by Harbor Freight.
Yeah.
thanks, Gal. Thanks, Nick. Thanks,
I
Spence.
think.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be in studio next week. So.
Oh yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yep.
we'll let you know.
And
Dust off the chair.
I
Hang on.
won't be at all next week.
why?
Okay.
I'll be in one of the parks in Orlando. I don't remember which.
Whichever one is open.
Whichever
whichever
one's planned
one
for
is-
that day. So we're
Yeah.
going Friday.
Are they all?
Thursday.
Are they? I know Disney has some damage, but they're probably getting
Well,
up to speed.
He'll
quick.
find
they
out.
need to up their game because I'm coming.
I'm
So,
coming. Hey, if you go, the Star Wars thing is amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Really.
I don't know if we'll get there. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm not
All right.
interrupting.
Yeah, I know. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Donna, Dina, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov and Yael. Thanks everybody for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Again, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Nick is on Wilmington 980 The Wave and 107.9 with the Wilmington's morning news show. Not a show, it's morning news. Recordings are on nickcraig.com and you can listen to it on your Echo device. Just tell it to play 980 The Wave. And Tuesday evening at 7, Nick and Brian do the Infection podcast, which is about survival games and gaming news on Twitch. So 7 p.m. If you're into gaming, 7 p.m. twitch.tv/infection podcast. And we'll see you next week, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.